Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Atlantic Sports Extraordinary on this exciting day 2 of the Tokyo Olympic Games with just about less than 24 hours to go. Records are being made at Tokyo Olympic Games. More athletes withdraw from the games as well. And in MotoGP, Thailand Grand Prix is cancelled. Adetokunbo brothers make NBA history. We have a lot coming from the US Open as well. On local scene, the Nigerian Professional Football League, we've seen Aqua United get closer to the title. And there's been some update for you as well from the European football scene. Details of this and many more will be all yours when we return back from this short break. Welcome back, and it's Atlantic Sports Extraordinary for you, and I have with me Mary James, our in-house sports analyst. Mary, nice to have you back.
Nice to be here.
And of course, it's 2 days into the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. Less than 24 hours to the official opening ceremony. Records are beginning to tumble at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. The Netherlands trashed Zambia 10-3. To break the record for the most goals scored by a single team in the women's Olympic match. Merit. No one would have expected as many as 13 goals in a single game.
We usually see records fall at the Olympic Games, but not very often in football. We see records fall in athletics, in swimming, and other sports disciplines, not very often in football. But for the very first day at the Olympic Games now in Tokyo 2020, we've seen a bit of excitement in football where we've seen records tumble. 13 goals in a single game. It was a goal fest, really, and it was really one-sided because if you look at the scoreline, 10 goals to 3 in favor of the Netherlands, it was really one-sided, and it was a match where both teams were featuring at the Olympic Games for the first time. If you are told that Zambia was playing in the first Olympic Games, it's quite believable, but not for the Netherlands. The Netherlands, when it comes to football generally, both in the men's and in women's game, they are one of the powerhouses in European football and in world football as well. So for them to be making their first appearance at the Olympic Games in 2020, it sounds very absurd, but that's the truth. They are appearing at the Olympic Games for the very first time. They played at FIFA World Cups, but for the Olympic Games, this is their very first appearance. They are likewise Zambia.
First time appearance for the Netherlands, and Merit is shocked, and I'm not sure for the first time, but they have reason to celebrate on their debut game at the Olympic Games, because captain of the side, Barbara Banda, scored her country's first ever women's goal at the Olympics. Not just scoring the first goal for Zambia at the Olympics, but the 21-year-old striker scored a hat-trick, 3 goals in one match, and our very first match for that matter, Merit.
And it's the records keep falling, the records keep piling up for Barbara Banda. Every step she takes now at the Olympic Games will result in a new record because, like you said, first ever to get a brace for Zambia is Barbara Banda as well. She took the first African woman to score a hat-trick at the Olympic Games. In the process, she's also become the highest goal-scoring African woman at the Olympic Games. The former records were held by Nigerians, Mercy Akide and Perpetua Nkocha, who had 2 goals in all their Olympic experiences. Barbara Banda, in her very first game, she has eclipsed that. That means in the subsequent games, she still has to play against China and against Brazil. Any goal she gets in those games keeps increasing the record. She sets a new record every time she plays at the Olympic Games, and it's fantastic stuff for the 21-year-old.
In like manner, Brazil also got their campaign off to a flying start earlier on Wednesday with a comprehensive 5-0 victory over China. It was a game that saw Brazilian football legend Marta and Formiga create Olympic history.
Formiga and Marta, one of the stalwarts in the Brazil team. If you've been following this Brazilian women's team, you know them. They are very, very popular because they have consistently put up good performances that has kept them in the side. Marta, everybody knows Marta when it comes to...
Yeah, this is actually our 7th Olympic Games.
7th Olympic Games for Formiga. For Marta, she has scored in 5 consecutive Olympic Games. It's a stuff of dreams, really. And when you know that she's a proven goal scorer, it tells you of the quality that she has. In Brazilian football history, nobody has scored more goals for the national team than Martha. That's both for male and women's football. Nobody has scored more goals for the national team than Martha. And she's 35. She's still doing the business. She scored 2 goals in that 5-0 drubbing of China. And I, for one, I'm really excited to see how she progresses in the tournament.
Talking about progress, Brazil will play the Netherlands on Sunday. But when you talk about 7th-time appearance at the Olympic Games, it reminds me of Funke Oshinake of Nigeria, that definitely is at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan, on a 7th time. And it's great when you see ladies, turn up as many times. And the Olympic doesn't come every year. You know that the Olympic comes after, a couple of years. So, and now you have someone be there in the 7th time. It's really, really great. Olympic Games comes every 4 years. So if you make it a 7th time, that's 7 times 4. That's quite a number for someone to appear at the Olympic Games. But still looking at developments around the Olympic Games, Team Great Britain has agreed, did actually take to the knee at the Olympic Games. If you remember, a couple of some club sides in England have been, and some players as well, been taking the knee as a mark of respect aftermath of that what happened in America last year. But now, Team Great Britain in their first game against Chile took the knee, and subsequently other countries at the Olympics had joined Team Great Britain to take the knee in respect of that Black Lives Matter campaign.
We've talked about the Olympic Games being an avenue, or being, say, the front runner when it comes to unity, when it comes to togetherness in sport. We know that the Olympic motto has been updated to include togetherness, and this is a show of togetherness. This is a show of unity. It's something we've seen from their male counterparts, the Three Lions of England. They've always taken the knee, despite them being racialized against. We know the incidents that occurred, that ensued after the finals of the Euro 2020. But the women promised that they will take the knee regardless, and they have delivered on that promise. Taking the knee, it's not just some people are arguing that it's not just about taking the knee, it's about taking actions. But then we also need to see this show of solidarity from the players who are celebrities, who have a large voice, have huge followership, and whatever they do goes a long way to tell their supporters what they think, what they stand for, and the world generally. And that helps, those little bits helps us get closer to a more tolerant society.
On the first day of the sport at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games as a football, with the International Olympic Committee confirming the gesture did not violate its Rule 50, banning political statements, the United States and Sweden both followed suit ahead of their match, as did New Zealand. So I think that's a very good one. Talking about the IOC's Rule 50, it forbids any kind of demonstration or political, religious, or racial propaganda in Olympic venues and any other Olympic area. But the Olympic body has been under mounting pressure in recent years to allow more freedom of expression for athletes on the field of play, and not just in news conferences, interviews, or the venues where the spectators can see them. We'll continue with updates around football at the Olympic Games day 2, and we've seen a couple of action. Egypt took on Spain in the first match.
Egypt and Spain played in the first game. That game ended goalless, contrary to what I thought. Whenever you see nations as Egypt and Spain in football, you expect to see goals, because for Egypt, they are giants of Africa, if I use that word. They are giants of Africa. Their talent and their quality whenever they turn up to play football in Africa is unprecedented. Also for Spain, one of the world champions. They've been world champions a couple of times, so you expect to see goals. But
talking about Spain, in this encounter between Egypt and Spain, I saw 6. I counted them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players that played at the Euro 2020 for Spain in the encounter against Egypt.
That shows you the youth, the level of youth they have in the squad. We know that the football game, in the men's football at the Olympic Games,
prominent among them was Pedri, if you remember.
Yeah, Pedri from Barcelona, who won the best young player at the Euro 2020. In the men's football at the Olympic Games, you are allowed to bring just only 3 players over the age of 23, unlike in the women's game where you can go with your first team squad. So when you see a lot of players that played at the Euro 2020 playing in the Olympic Games as well, it tells you that they were a really young squad at the Euro 2020. You've just mentioned Pedri. Pedri is just 18 years old, won the best young player at the Euro 2020. Is back here at the Tokyo 2020. We hope to see the same. We hope to see him replicate the same performances he put up in the Euros at the Olympic Games. But so far, so good. He hasn't done that yet in the first game against Egypt. We hope that he progresses from there.
New Zealand surprise winners over South Korea.
New Zealand over South Korea. When you talk about football, you don't usually give New Zealand a shout because and that's because of the history. They've not put up good performances when it comes to football. They're usually heavily beaten when it's in the Asian qualifiers, whether for the continental showpiece or for the World Cups. And South Korea, on the other hand, we've seen them at various World Cups. We've seen them at various 8th grade tournaments. They've given a good representation for themselves. So it was odd to see New Zealand take one over South Korea. But one thing that we've known in recent times is that smaller nations, smaller footballing nations are starting to come to the party. We saw North Macedonia at the Euro 2020. Normally, we wouldn't see them. We saw in 2016, we saw Iceland, and they came and gave a good representation of themselves. Even here in Africa, we're seeing the likes of Cape Verde get good results against stronger opponents. So it's a good thing for the sport, but bad thing for South Korea.
Mexico trashed France 5-1.
This is the most shocking result so far in the men's game. Shocking. When you see France and you see Mexico, you expect it to be tightly tested because we know the Mexicans in North America, they are probably the best footballing nation in North America. And France, for all the plethora of stars, they have an abundance of talent, both at age grades and in the senior team. They are World Cup winners in the senior team. They are European champions just a couple of years ago in the 8th grade tournament. So we expected to see France come to the fore. But surprisingly, 5-1, not even 1-0, not even 2-1, but 5-1. It was
maybe because there's no Mbappe, there's no Arena.
There's no Mbappe. But they have a couple of players. The one goal that was scored by Andre Pierre Gignac. Is over 35 years of age, so he brings some quality to the team. They have also
it was called from a holiday camp to be part of that squad because the expected players that went to the Euro 2020
are still on vacation.
Were on vacation.
Are still on vacation.
So you call a player from the camp, a holiday camp, to go to play a competition as big as the Olympic Games.
And I think that's what has shown. It has shown that they were probably not very prepared for this one. Hopefully they will pick up from here and get things clicking in the next fixture. They have a couple of experienced players. They have some of their young stars who play for big teams, in quotes, and we're expecting a better performance from France. They have not done that. They've been well beaten by Mexico. Other teams who in the group will be looking at them and thinking they have a chance.
Egypt have done so well for Africa in the very first game. Can the same be said of Ivory Coast against Saudi Arabia?
Ivory Coast, last I checked, the game was still ongoing before we came on set. Last I checked, they were playing a 1-1 draw against Saudi Arabia. They went in front courtesy of an own goal by Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia found their way back into the game. So far, so good. As far as we know, it's been a good representation for our African contingent in the men's game. It was a bad day at the office for the women yesterday when Zambia got bashed, but today the men are showing that they can hold their own against their opponents.
We hope to get you results of the match between Saudi Arabia and Cote d'Ivoire just before we leave the set because that match is ongoing and is into the second half. But later today, it will be Argentina taking on Australia, Japan will take on South Africa, Honduras will take on Romania, Brazil will take on Germany. Trust me, I will keep an eye on this very particular one. That match is coming up in just about few minutes.
So the game with Ivory Coast just ended just now, and Ivory Coast actually won that one 2-1. So we got our first.
Good news for Africa. We have won one now, and of course we still have there's one draw as well. A couple of games to play, and we'll see how Africa will fare. You remember the team from the Dream Team of Nigeria. They did win in the next.
You don't lose 8-1 in your first game and then come back to win in your second game. It doesn't happen very often because an 8-1 loss against the host it's a dampener where it dampens the morale, dampens the spirit in the camp. But they've been able to shrug it off. They've been able to pick themselves up from the dust, and they've gotten an impressive victory against Italy. We remember the game in the first game. Italy played against USA in the first game. USA are world number one when it comes to softball, but USA did not find it very easy with against Italy. They had to dig deep before defeating Italy. So for Australia to come from an 8-1 loss after the first day to defeat Italy by 1-0, did not concede any points, and they've held their own strong. It shows that the team has improved. They have a strong mentality. Going forward into their next fixtures, we hope that they can get positive results as well.
While developments around the Olympics are just in numbers, so we bring you one more tidbit, which has to do with withdrawal due to the COVID-19. We're still having withdrawals even at the games proper, but we'll do all of that when we come back from this short break. with merit. With the action already kicked off for some games, some haven't been that fortunate because the number of withdrawals continued to increase this time around. It's the Russian Swimming Federation that announced on Wednesday that swimmer Ilya Borodin will miss the Tokyo Olympic Games after testing positive to COVID-19.
Ilya he was one of their medal prospects. He's won at the Commonwealth Games. And it's sad when you see these
18 years of age.
Yes, when you see these young athletes. Well, for the young athletes, they still have another opportunity. They have many more opportunities to play at the Olympics. But then, for the nation, it's sad because you see some of your top medal prospects being dropped out because of COVID-19. And when you understand that they have been in camp, they have been training, preparing for the games, they have been following the protocols as best as they can, but still definitely still eventually they fall sick, they get infected with the coronavirus disease. It is really sad, and we hope that all of these gets out of the way as soon as possible. Hopefully at the next Olympic Games in France, when the Olympic goes to France in 2024, we will not see cases of athletes, superstars missing the event, because it takes away some of the glamour for the event. If you have, say for instance, if you were in the days of Usain Bolt and then you were looking forward to the 100-meter dash finals at the Olympic Games and you heard that Usain Bolt will not be taking part, it takes away some of the glamour, it takes away some of the excitement. And we've seen most of these star athletes missing, world number ones missing, former gold medals missing, world record holders missing because of the coronavirus. It's really sad. We hope, we pray, we always wish them speedy recovery so that they can get back into the action as soon as possible.
The 18-year-old Russian swimmer is a 2020 European champion in men's 400-meter individual medley. We hope that it gets better as fast as possible, and hoping to as well that event does not get through before she recovers from the event. Russian Federation said there's no chance at all at getting at athletes training and testing negative for this one, and there will be no replacement as well in the race. The Britain's world number one shooter Amber Hill withdrew from the Tokyo Olympics on Wednesday after she tested positive for COVID-19 before departure. This is even better because he had not arrived Tokyo.
Better because she's not arrived to Tokyo, but still a sad one for Amber, still a sad one for the United Kingdom.
After 5 years of training and preparation.
That's the saddest part, because these athletes put a lot into their training programs. They always have the Olympic Games at the back of their mind. They know that it happens. It's not something that is uncertain. We know that after every 4 years there will be the Olympic Games. So they train and they prepare. They go to the meets, the championships to get good scores, good records, get some cash as well. All in a bid to prepare for the biggest stage, which is the Olympic Games. And after preparing for 5 years, because it was supposed to be 4 years because of the extension,
right?
Made it an extra year of preparation. And it's a loss for Amber. It's a loss for Team Great Britain, because she is a very good shooter. She is one of the best, world number one. In fact, in her discipline, she's world number one.
She actually won.
Maybe win the gold medal with her world number one status, but unfortunately, we will not see her participate at the Olympic Games. It's quite a sad one for Team Great
Clearly,
Britain.
the most experienced of the Great Britain team going to the Olympic Games. We hope we can get better, but still bringing.
Keep checking you and all those restrictions. For her, it